lives. Notice Proverbs 5:21. Proverbs 5:21 says, "For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his goings." Wow. Isn't that cool? The Lord knows the ways of men. He watches it, and then he ponders all his goings. So in other words, the Lord takes interest. And he sits there. What does it mean to ponder?
Think about, dwell on.
Huh?
Think about, dwell on.
Yeah. So think of this, believer. You're walking your Christian walk, and you get into certain situations, and you're walking that path, and all of a sudden you come on a path, and God says, he ponders and probably thinks, why are you going down that path? He sits here and ponders it, thinks about it. And it says all his doings. So in other words, there's nothing you and I can hide from God. Everything we do, he sees it, he watches it, and he ponders upon it. In Psalm 34, verse 15, the psalmist says, Psalm 34:15, "The eyes of the Lord are upon the righteous." So they are upon those who know the Lord. So in other words, there's every place we go, everything we do, the Lord's right there watching us. Amen? Now, that's comforting, I think. Amen? It's probably not so comforting if we're doing wrong. But to me, that's comforting, knowing that God is watching me, pondering the things I do, and also that he knows the evil and the good that's going around. So he sees us. Somebody turn to Hebrews 4:13 and read it. This is a wonderful verse. Go ahead, Mike. Hebrews 4, verse 13.
Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give an account.
Whoa. Yeah. That's Hebrews 4, verse 13. Now, wow, you look at that verse, there are some interesting things here. It says, there's not a creature upon this planet that God is not looking at. Not only that, but all things that are naked, open unto the eyes of him. Wow, everything is open. So that's why, sometimes we think, Lord, look at all this evil. Look at all these evil dictators. Look what's happening in Syria and all those thousands of people being murdered. In Africa, all the thousands being slaughtered there, and the starving babies. And you see all this evil in the world, and sometimes you think, man, Lord, don't you see this? Yes, it's all open to the eyes of God. But Hebrews 4:13 says, everyone who does evil and everyone who does good, there's an accountability, right? The end of that verse, there's an accountability. Remember, one day, all these evil people, all the evil things you see in this planet will be judged. Amen? It's called the Great White Throne Judgment. The lost are going to be judged, but also the Scriptures tell us in Isaiah and also Revelation that the nations are going to be judged too. Every nation on planet Earth will be judged the evil that they have done. They're not going to get away with it. That's even America. Okay? Every nation is going to get judged. Never forget that. They have their day. There was I forget what psalm it is. Is it I don't know. It's 70. It's one of the psalms, 72 or 70. No, it's in the 70s. See if I can find it. Yeah, 73. Notice Psalm 73. Sometimes this is the attitude of even believers, but the psalmist starts out and says, "Truly God is good to Israel." Psalm 73. "To such as a pure heart. But as for me, my feet had almost stumbled. My steps had nearly slipped. For I was," notice this, "I was envious of the boastful when I saw the prosperity of the wicked." Boy, doesn't that sound familiar? You look at people that are prospering, they're wicked, and you look, "Oh, Lord, that's not fair." "For there are no pains in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, nor are they plagued like other men. Therefore pride serves as their necklace." You look at some people and you see them and say, "How do they get away with this thing?" It looks like they can get away with everything. There's no trouble in their lives. It seems like everything's rosy. "Their eyes plunge with abundance. They have more than heart could wish. They scoff and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walks through the earth. Therefore his people return here, and waters are full of cup are drained by them, and they say, 'How does God know?'" And their knowledge of the Most High, and is their knowledge of the Most High? Behold, these are ungodly, who are always at ease. Doesn't it seem like you see these ungodly people who have got everything? They seem at ease. Yeah. "Surely I've cleansed my heart in vain. I washed my hands in innocence," the psalmist says. "For all day long I've been plagued and chastened every morning." He's thinking, man, I try to do right, and all I get is trouble and plagues. And man, I get chastened every morning, it seems. "If I had said I will speak thus, behold, I would have been untrue to the generation of your children. When I thought how to understand all this, it was too painful for me." See what he's saying? I don't get this. It's painful. But then verse 17 is the verse that unlocks the whole problem. Notice what he said in verse 17. "Until I went into the sanctuary of God, then I understood their" what? And did you catch it? All this evil, you think, they're never, no. When you enter the house of God and when you hear the message of God, God is saying, yes, they're evil, but what? I understood their end. The psalmist realized without God in their lives, they die and go to hell. They have their end. They might have everything on planet Earth, but they're going to die and go to hell. Their end is not a good end. See, Christian, keep your perspective. Sometimes you might think, this is not fair. This is injustice. They get away with all this. I'm trying to be honest and true, and Lord, I'm trying to do my best, but when I do that, all I get is persecution. Well, just keep on getting persecuted. That's fine. Remember their end. If they don't get saved, they're going to burn in hell for all eternity. Amen? So what's a little persecution on our part? By the way, don't forget, if God's persecution come into your life, whether verbal or whatever, you know, God's, what's He doing? Romans 8:28. He's molding you, as the message this morning, into the image of Christ, and that's going to come through persecution. All right. So never forget, God sees you. We have a God who sees us, so we're not alone. Amen. Next time you think you're alone, that God's not watching, that's not true. He's there. Then notice, when you look closer at the psalm here, in our text, we see a God who not only sees us, but also He knows who we are. He knows who we are. You see, the background to this prayer of David in our text involves the lies that were believed and circulated by King Saul and his leaders. Saul was spreading lies about King David.